put together was I call it a toast to you, and it's not even the last talk before lunch. You're the last talk, but it's really intended to be something that'll dovetail in on what I talked about in the Founders Building a few weeks ago. And the context here is that things are going really, really smoothly, and it's pretty much exactly as I expected. I mean, GBI did great, and we did all the organizational changes. We did the SAP's flowing, George, I think, and we've got Project Sirius that's going to hatch one of these days, and you know, all the other stuff like delivering Harvest went really, really smoothly. So this is for me a really good time to step away, but I do want to share a few thoughts with you. And again, this is another apology right here. When I mentioned my idea to Tom Seaver, he said, "I hope this is not going to be a sermon." I'm afraid it's going to be a sermon here. Okay, so then a few weeks ago, I talked with you about the fact that I didn't have a job description. I never really had a career plan or anything like that. I always thought if you do good things will come to you, and I'm standing up here with all my dear friends saying that, yeah, good things have come to me, but I was guided by some learnings and experiences. They weren't things that I was hatched with, but they were learnings and experiences that I gathered along the way, during life, either in my family or on work or wherever. And I'm going to share a few of them with you right now, but not everything. I mean, I don't even think 55 minutes would do justice to that. But I will just ramble for 20 minutes or so. But I'm going to touch on leadership, teamwork, quality, innovation, and something that I came up with that I could only call being, just being. Maybe it's like trying to be a human being or something like that. The first thing is something that I learned from my dad, and that's an interesting story. He was the only person in his family of that generation who got a college education, and he was a World War II vet and went to University of Notre Dame, or not Notre Dame, North Dakota, UND. I get the UNDs mixed up, and got a degree in industrial arts, and was teaching high school and coaching football at Big Pine High School on the other side of the mountains here. And he got lured to Southern California to make skis. And so he and the company that he was working with were credited with making the world's first fiberglass snow skis, which was kind of a cool thing. And they went belly up, and then he went into the electronics industry and spent his whole career there. But what he taught me, and I kept bugging him, hey Dad, I'm out in the workforce here, and you've got a lot of work history. You've been very successful. There's obviously a lot of things that I could learn from you, and I literally bugged him for years, and finally he just relented, and he told me one thing. It was literally one sentence, and it was, treat other people the way that you would want to be treated yourself. And holy cow, that's another variation of the golden rule, right? And I told you it was going to be a sermon, Tom, yeah. But that was a really big deal, and for my whole career, I felt like that's been one of the real guiding lights of my career, and helped inform most of my actions along the way. So just that's something to bear in mind. The other thing is, and this is on the corporate values, if you look on the back of your business card, we've got our corporate values, and there's one of the values is relating to humility, and there's a lot of ways to, let's say, give examples or dimensionalize humility and why it's really important to be humble. I'm just going to give you one example that comes to mind all the time. We're just a little drop in the bucket in the 8,000 year history grape growing and winemaking, or it could be making beer or whatever. I'm going to say grape growing and winemaking in let's say excessively broad terms. In fact, it's if over the course of your career, let's say it's 40 years or something like that, that's only 0.5% of the entire history of the art and craft and science of grape growing and winemaking. So you're just a little brick in the wall. Not to say that we aren't doing important things, and I think the things that we're doing here and that we've done at Gallo in my time here, that we're going to do in the future even more so, is really defining the state of the art for the next several generations, which is a really cool thing. Just in the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to, my career's kind of been woven with Cal. And we went to Davis together, then we kind of parted ways, and we didn't really land together, but we crossed paths when you were at San Martin and I was at Callaway, and Darren, you were there too, and then we teamed up again when I was at Hess, because we were storing wine for Glen Ellen, and then at Delicato we worked really closely together, and Cal and I exchanged books and learnings and things like that. And one of the hubs of the things that we were learning about was Stephen Covey and the Covey leadership, and one of the things that always sticks to mind is seek first to understand. And so if you think about that, and if you seek first to understand, and you keep your eyes open, you listen, you question, and you learn, that's a very, very unantagonistic way to dive in and be part of something. Just learn about it and question. At some point in time, even through your questions, you can get your point across. But that's a really big deal. And then I would segue to another thing that kind of sticks to mind as I put this thread together was a town hall theme that we had a few years ago, which was, we're all in this together. And so really the bottom line is, here's another fact, is you alone, you as individuals, Robert, you can't possibly drink all the wine that you make. And not possibly. I mean, you make millions of gallons of wine, and the flip side of it is that you can't possibly make all that wine either. You can't do it yourself. And so the bottom line is that it takes a team. And so one of the sayings that I've had, a way that I kind of envision how we work together here, is that if we were like a really dinky winery, a small winery, every single one of us would be rolled up under Robert's hat right there. It'd be one person, and so the whole idea of working together as a team is getting hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people, working together as one person under one single hat. It really does take a team. And so in thinking about it, I thought that, the power of one, Robert as a winemaker, that's finite. That's good. But the power of more than one, namely a team, that's infinite. Especially if we work together very, very effectively as a team. And so I do want to say another thing. This is something that Darren and I learned. We were reading, remember those supervisory handouts that we got? It was like 4 pages of came out every month or so, and handy tips on how to be a supervisor. And I remember there was a poem in there that concluded with, the least important word in the English language is I. Okay, that's the and then you can kind of go into me, my, mine, the singular possessive. Those are very, very unimportant words if you want to be part of an effective team. The most important word in the English language is we, W-E. So just think about that for a minute. Okay, so this is a little bit of a zig and a zag, but Michelle Lewis touched on it. And So I'm going to share a little of my personal business secrets, and it's something that I learned. Tony was part of our winemaking team at Delicato, and we had a very diverse team, including a gentleman who came to the United States as an immigrant when he was 2 years old from China, and he had a completely different descriptive vocabulary, a completely different set of experiences that he brought to the table. And so that the important business secret, and I call it a competitive advantage, is that your best work results from the most diverse teams that you can assemble. And it's especially true in winemaking, where people can come to the table with diverse experiences and diverse backgrounds and help craft the best wines. And in the arena that we work in, we're not making little craft volumes of wine, but we're making volumes of wine that all Americans, all people can drink and enjoy. It's really super important to have that diversity at the table so that you have a better shot at crafting wines that everybody's going to love. Okay, so Nick and I talk about this a lot, and that is that the saying that we have around here is to make our next bottle of wine better than today's. That's our mantra, isn't it, Nick? Yeah, pretty much. And that's the essence of continuous improvement. And when I spoke at the Founders Building, I underscored that that's part of the DNA of Gallo. It's in Gallo's DNA for 86 years, and that's why we continue to flourish and continue to be viable today. It's not stasis. Stasis is death. Dynamic, driven change, continuous improvement, and innovation is it's not just crucial, but it's essential for your continued viability and growth as a business, especially the world that we play in, where we want to be a driving force in the wine business, not just in the United States but globally. So here's a few sayings right here. And that is, good sales are driven by good wines. I learned this in a few jobs ago, where we knew that we could build brands by having the wines be served by the glass. And so then I thought, okay, if somebody in a restaurant is given a glass of wine and they like that wine and they order another glass of that wine, you've just doubled your sales, right? So it seems like the really easy way to double your sales is to have good tasting wine. Greg, you know that absolutely inherently. Bad wines drive bad sales. That's the reverse. The other thing too, and this is back to the whole notion of innovation and reinvention and refreshing, is that nobody wants to read yesterday's newspaper, especially true in the wine biz. You get tired of something, and then you want to move on to something else. And our job in this room as continuous improvers and innovators is to be the company that provides that solution. So we keep that drinker within Gallo. Okay, the other thing, this is I confess I'm rambling. This is my Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance moment, and back to something that was mentioned earlier, and that is quality is not the exclusive domain of the highest price points. That's really super true. Quality exists at our price points, even at our very lowest price points. In fact, you can argue that quality may be even more important at the price points that we play at, where our consumers, like Pat, expect their Pinot Grigio, their Barefoot Pinot Grigio, to be consistent, not just from one bottle to another, but from one vintage to another as well. And we can only do that by delivering quality. The other thing too is that innovation is not the exclusive domain of higher price points. but it's something that's foundational, fundamental, and essential for the price points that we play in. And I think Stephanie Gallo and all of Gallo are counting on us for that. And I think we've actually demonstrated and proven just in the time that I've been at Gallo, which is really 18 years out of an 86-year history. That's a short time period, and especially if you look at the next 86 years or 186 years, that's a short time period. But we've done a lot, and it's been a breakneck speed. I mean, look at Barefoot going from 500,000 to 22.5 million cases or whatever it is globally, and all of the work that we had to do to feed that, but also to innovate new styles like Pinot Grigio and Moscato. I would argue that there were other styles, Riesling, that we innovated, and even Merlot. Having good tasting Merlot at that price point and volume was something that nobody had ever even remotely approached before. That said, Bob and Joe taught me that you can always do better. And so that's, as I said earlier, it's part of Gallo's DNA and what has kept this enterprise alive, functioning, flourishing, and gobbling assets of their biggest competitors like Pac-Man. And that's how you do it. The other thing that I mentioned at the Founders Building was that one of the things that I learned from Joe is ask the questions that need to be asked, and there's always things that you kind of want to look the other way on, and I think Aldous Huxley said facts do not cease to exist because they're ignored. Joe Gallo is the mirror opposite of that, and his job, as I see it, a big part of his job was to shine the light on things that needed to have the light shined on and ask those questions that are they're difficult questions to ask, but they have to be asked nonetheless. And for us, I would implore everybody in this room to question even those things that you believe to be fundamental truths, fundamental paradigms. This is how you grow grapes. This is how you make wine. Well, every little step of the way, just ask yourself, is that really the way to do it, or is there a better way to do it? And if there's a better way to do it that you think of, then test it out. Get the data and prove whether that's a better way to go. If it's a better way to go, then you damn well better commit to go that way. Because the other thing is that you've discovered something, you've learned something that doesn't preclude your competitors from knowing that and committing to do that. If you're committed to do it, that's great. If you don't commit to do that and your competitors do that, they're going to get the leg up on you. And then you've been out competed. So then I thought about it, just the whole thing about asking the questions that need to be asked, and you can always do better. I've got another one for you, Nick. And just do your best and then do better. Think about that for a minute. So if we do that, our best wines are always going to be ahead of us. And I firmly believe that. So we've done a lot in the last time that I've been here. My only history is what I've seen and what I've felt and what I've tasted here in the time that I've been here. I have no other historical memory of what Gallo was like before I was here. But I do know that if you look at each and every one of the people here, I mean, this is a lot of power, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch things happen and watch things unfold in the coming years. Okay, so of course, I'm in the final stretch here. There is life beyond work. And there's a saying that you can't help others until you put on your own oxygen mask. And this is advice to myself and advice to everybody else here, that it's essential that we all strive to be healthy in mind, healthy in body, in your family, and in your relationships. And a key part of that is pursuing your passions beyond work. John Moore Marco, one of his sayings was, "The cemetery is full of people who did not take their vacations." You've heard that, haven't you, Darren?
I have.
You remember John, the mutton chop guy? Yeah. He was kind of our big boss at Callaway. Okay, so that begs the question, what's next for me? Since it looks like I'm going on permanent vacation, or maybe I get my pink slip after this meeting. I don't have any 2020 focus items. I'm really sorry. I don't have a slide to point to with anything on there, but I did find some clues on the bottle that was signed in the Founders Building. I found some clues. And so first off, from John Lilly, John said, "The good life is ahead." That's great. And then Bob Gallo whispered in my ear, and he said, "You're getting out at the right time while you can still enjoy yourself." Yeah, all right. Tim Holt said, "Have fun." Those very, very philosophical words there, Tim. Yeah. And then from Kevin Hamill came the pragmatic, "Time for a cellar job, Tom." Okay, so the good life's ahead. I'm going to have fun, and it looks like I'm going to get a cellar job somewhere. Those are all great ideas. Just the very last in closing, I just want to thank everybody, and I feel like I have a special one-on-one relationship with every single one of you in the room for all the great things we've done together, but maybe, and I think even more importantly, because, why do you go to work in the first place? It's been a lot of fun. So I just thank you for that. Thanks.